we go on today. So we're here to talk about, or more like discuss the Youth Day of Service, which is a program that was started by Leap Africa to harness the activities of young people towards achieving the SDGs and towards celebrating the International Youth Day, which is supposed to happen on the 12th of August. So if you're here, I know you must have heard about YDOS in one way or the other, and we're so happy to have you here. That being said, I'd like to go into our session for today proper. I have to set the tone for this meeting. I have Ms. Kehinde Ayeni. Ms. Kehinde Ayeni is the COO of Leap Africa. She's been with us for the longest time, and we consider her as one of the forerunners of youth engagement. So we're happy that Kenny is here today. So Kenny, please, you're welcome. Thank you very much. Over to you.
Hello. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. And thank you to everyone for joining the call, particularly our speakers, panelists. I'm so grateful that you're able to join us today. I must thank IJ, of course, for the fantastic introduction. I know IJ speaks French, but this is the most I've heard her say anything in French. So IJ, would like to see more of that happen. Outside of the webinar, why is it important for us to have created such a fantastic, massive campaign as the Youth Day of Service? It started 3 years ago. We were really thinking about the best vehicle that can really mobilize young people. Okay, is someone trying to share a slide? Okay, thank you so much for that. We really wanted to create a vehicle that will mobilize lots of young people in Nigeria and outside Nigeria. Essentially, our work in Leap Africa allows us to focus on youth leadership development, and we can't do that robustly if we don't have a Pan-Africanist view, if we don't have a Pan-Africanist initiative. And so the first year we did this, it took us about so many months to put it together, and then we launched out into the world. We had an impressive outing in the first year, and in the second year we had even more success. But we started to think about, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, if I take you back to the origin of the Youth Day of Service, essentially, we were asking, what does the Sustainable Development Goal mean? Who knows the development goals? How can the Sustainable Development Goal catalyze change in Africa exponentially? And that's where we birthed the Youth Day of Service. We intended for it definitely to be a Pan-African idea because, we have a Pan-African focus. And the goal is really to engage the head, hearts, and hands of African youth with a lot of perspectives, understanding that young people are creative. You can see my t-shirt. I'm wearing our youthful and useful creative shirt, basically saying that young people have what it takes to really change the continent. There's a large number of us, yes, I'm a young person, there's a large number of us in Africa, and can we really tap into that creativity, the energy, the resource, the consciousness, and create a platform? Then yes, absolutely. And that's why, we went beyond logos, we went beyond egos to create an initiative that will mobilize and begin to get young people to refocus, to giving back, to serving. If you go outside of Africa, you would see lots of people, irrespective of their age, giving back and serving. It's part of their DNA, it's part of their life. And we wanted that to start for young people in Africa as well, a day they can really commit. And we thought about it beyond a day into a week. So what is the Youth Day of Service? If you've just heard about it for the first time, it's a week-long activity engagement that will see young people giving back and serving. It's a youth-led social impact campaign, pretty much. If you're looking at the slide, then yes, by all means, that's what it is. when we think about the Youth Day of Service for us at Leap Africa, it's more than a brand, it's more than a tagline, it's a household name, and that's the vision for us. We want it to become a household name. And for us to do this, we are fostering a lot of partnerships. If you see at some point during the presentation, I'm sure that Catherine will get to it, a lot of logos are involved, a lot of partnership, multi-sectoral partnership, and we are very proud, particularly for this particular year, we have a partner who is going with us all the way on the journey. And the plan is really to showcase the spirit of Africa, the spirit of young people when they are given the platform to serve, when they are given the opportunity, when they even know what to do. And so if you are just joining the call, welcome to you. This is basically to say that if you've never participated in the Youth Day of Service, we want to get you started. We want to get you involved. We want to get you youthful and useful. Hello from everywhere you're dialing in from. We want to raise a massive network of change makers. We want to create an ecosystem. And so I welcome you again, everyone, for joining us. We are so proud. We encourage you to get on the vehicle with us and just push the word out. We are looking forward to exciting projects. We are looking forward to coming to your community. Visuals we are going to see, from you in the next few weeks as we are counting down excitedly to the Youth Day of Service here in Lagos. I know you are also counting down from wherever you are dialing me from, like Zimbabwe is here, Kenya is here, and so many other places. And so I'm really wishing us all a great time outing right now as we go into it. So thank you so much, IJ, Catherine, and the Ydos team, and of course our fabulous panelists. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Kenny. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. So what we have next on our agenda is the panel session, and I'm supposed to introduce our panelists. But before I do that, there is like a critical mass of us in the room right now, and I want you to say hello in the chat box in English, in any language that you want. I see people joining in from Nigeria. Nigeria has several languages, and I want to also just showcase. I see people from Zimbabwe. I see people from Uganda. I see Sierra Leone as well. I just want you to say hello in whatever language you're calling in from, whatever language of the country you're calling in from. Hi, bonjour from Cameroon. Bonjour, Tiku. I cancel Leo. Hello, Buka. Bonjour. Salam, Chu, my dear. Hello. I'm happy to see all of your chats. Ndewo Mary Jane, Sanuko, Nidima, Habari Nuru. I love that one. I know it means hello, and I really love to say it. Hello, Mubarak. I'm glad to see all of you. And then one more thing that you should do for me, I want you to say, I am youthful and useful in the chat. I am youthful and useful in whatever language that you want to say it. If you can say that, I am useful. Thank you, Chikebuka. Thank you, Wofai. Yes, we are youthful and useful, and we're here to prove it. This is a time for us to prove it. This is August. We're here to prove that indeed we are youthful and useful enough to change our communities, useful enough to change the course the world is going. And that's a wonderful thing. That's a wonderful responsibility that we have on our shoulders. And I'm glad that people are here to actually showcase that. Having said all of that, I want to thank you. I want to thank you so much for your engagements in the chat. And I want to go ahead now to introduce our speakers for today. So first on our list, we have Mr. Emanuel Matape. I apologize if I have said that name wrongly, but it's a very wonderful name. Mr. Emanuel Matape is the convener, the African Youth SDG Summit, and is the executive director of the Youth Advocates Ghana. He's also a youth development consultant with a particular interest in governance, participation, and youth empowerment. Emanuel launched the Africa Youth SDG Summit as the largest forum on the SDGs in Africa, which has attracted over 15,000 delegates of youth leaders and policy makers from Africa and beyond. The 5th edition of the summit is scheduled to take place in Lusaka, Zambia in 2023. Please, a warm welcome to Mr. Emanuel Matape. So a warm welcome. You can give him a round of applause in the chat box. You're so welcome, Mr. Emanuel. Secondly, we have Shima Khalid. Shima Khalid is the project manager at Our Mentor, AU Innovative Education Awardee from Cairo, Egypt. I'm going to read about Shima a little bit. She has a lot in her bag, and we're here for it. We're here for all of it. Shima is a former African Union staff and AU Innovative Education Awardee with 9 years of work experience and regional visibility in education management, quality education advocacy, and social entrepreneurship in the Middle East, Africa, and in Europe. Recently, Shima is working as a project manager for Our Mentor EdTech, managing and digitalizing several international and governmental education projects within 16 million in partnerships with African and Arabic ministries of education, which are providing quality education to over 1 million students and 3,000 teachers. So Shima here is our education advocate, and we're here to hear all that she has to say, all that she had. In fact, we would love for her to just blow our minds and make all of us believe in quality education again and to actually fight for it. So you're welcome, Shima. Please, a round of applause for Shima. Thank you, Towo. I see you. Thank you so much. Our last but not the least panelist speaker for today is Mr. Edward Kipalia. Mr. Edward is the Program Officer, Governance and Civic Engagement at Emerging Leaders Foundation. Edward believes in building and inspiring individuals to believe in their greatness to achieve superior results. Motivated by his commitment to excellence, Edward is currently the Program Officer, Governance and Civic Engagement at ELF. So you're welcome, Mr. Edward. A round of applause for Mr. Edward. A round of applause. I'm not seeing people clapping. A warm welcome to our speakers. Thank you, Abdullahi. Thank you, Mariam. Thank you so much. You're welcome, Mr. Emanuel, Mr. Edward, and Shima. We're glad to have you here, and we want to hear all you have to say to us today. Again, the last but not the least, we have our very own planner for excellence of the YDOS program. We have Catherine Busari. Catherine Busari is going to be our moderator for this panel session, and we're glad to have her. A warm welcome to you, Catherine. We hope that this is going to be a very engaging session. We know it, and we look forward to it. Over to you, Catherine.
Thank you so much, IJ. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Love that the comment section is already very engaging. I see a lot of joy.
Hey, Kathy, we can't hear you yet.
All right, please let me know if you can hear me.
Could you please check your mic?
All right, let me try that. Can you hear me now, IJ?
Oh, great. Sorry, that was from me. You can go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone. So like I said, I'm very happy to be here today. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you so much. I see the energy in the chat section, the way the chats are flowing, and I am, very happy to have you all in the room. I see quite a lot of people across different locations in Africa. I see the joy, I see the energy, and as you know, young persons are energetic, and I like that we're using our energy today just to talk about the SDGs, bring about action, talk about the session, and the joy that we're feeling about the session we're going to have. Thank you so much. So over to my panelists. Thank you, Shima, for being here, Edward and Emmanuel, for just seeing that invitation and deciding to join the conversation. And please turn on your videos. It'd be good to see your faces as we kick off the conversation. So just before I start, I'd like to get a sense of, the room and what we know about the SDGs. Who wants to tell me what year the SDGs came about? Who wants to tell me what the SDGs mean? I'd like to see in the chat section, if you're very sure what the SDGs are, put it in there. Okay, I see Chebuka already saying 2015, and Smith, SDG gurus, they've read about it, and the Sustainable Development Goals with the exclamation mark at the end. I love the energy. So yes, we're here to talk about the SDGs, and we're here to talk about what the SDGs really mean to us in Africa. So many times I hear people say, oh, the SDGs were, designed by the United Nations General Assembly, or it has nothing to do with Africa. And at this point, I'm like, are they really wrong? Are they really wrong? I think that, while we understand what the SDGs set out to achieve, there might be a gap just right there in understanding if it's really for us, or it was planned, might be a gap just right there in understanding if it's really for us, or it was planned by other people for us. So, the idea really is that at the end of this session, you really understand what the SDGs are, the targets, the role that you have to play as young people, and why it's important that young people even lead action on the SDGs. So I'll start having a conversation with my panelists. I think just even settle in and set the tone. I think my very first question is, are the SDGs local and are they important for Africa? I think I'll just take that round, 2 minutes per person. Do you think the SDGs are local and do you think they're important for Africa? So I'll start with Shima. I see she's already unmuted and ready to jump in the conversation.
Thank you so much, Catherine. It's really nice to be with you guys here. Actually, I feel motivated and empowered. It's really hard to feel this these days, especially I'm working always with old people. So thank you so much for inviting me to be part of you. Actually, yes, we do need SDGs in Africa to achieve quality and leave no one behind, because recently we are leaving a lot behind. And let's agree that there is a lot to be done in Africa. So without a clear plan and mission and more partner from other government or international organizations that support us to implement this goal, we will not reach a clear outcomes. So we don't want to see children are fleeing from schools and join workforce at 7 years old, leaving their childhood. And to achieve this, actually, you need kind of map, vision, goals that implemented by the government and youth and all the country stakeholder to achieve kind of outcomes of these goals. Sorry, my examples will be always about education, which is SDG 4, which is aiming to provide quality education for all, not only child, but also for youth. Because, sorry, this is my sector in the end of the day. So we want the quality education, for example, to have high-skilled graduates that will benefit the country. So we do need SDG 4, for example, to have high-skilled graduates, and these high-skilled graduates will work in the country, will raise the economy, will raise the productivity of the country. But without having those kind of youth or graduates or high-skilled workforce, you will never have a good economy, and you will always depending on loans from banks from other countries and so on. So this is only one benefit of one SDG of the total SDGs in general. If I will talk a lot about why we need SDGs, but I do think my colleagues also will comment more on this from their point of view and from the certain SDGs they are working on. So let me leave some time for them.
All right, thank you, Shima. That's very interesting. I knew you were going to come from the angle of the SDG folks. I know you're so passionate about the work that you do. But from what I hear, that you had said, we need the SDGs in Africa, really, just to begin to bridge the gaps between all of the inequalities that we have. Africa is plagued with a lot of wicked problems, and to really solve that, we need a clear roadmap that just tells us the direction to take our interventions. We need to get our stakeholders, other supporters on the same page. I hear you. Thank you so much, Shima. I'll move over to you, Emmanuel. Emanuel is the convener of the African Youth SDGs Summit, so you know that he's passionate about the SDGs. So over to you, Emanuel. What do you think the SDGs are important? Are they local for Africa, and are they really important for Africa?
Good afternoon. First of all, I would like to ask for your permission to make my delivery without showing video, as I'm currently in transit and do not have a very kind of stable environment. So warm greetings once again, and thank you very much for the opportunity to contribute to this discussion, and thank you for organizing, and welcome to everyone. So in response to the question that you have asked, so I think this is a very important question, as oftentimes people mistakenly assume that the SDGs as we have it now is the work, or it is actually the mandate of the UN solely to have it implemented in Africa. On the contrary, you realize that the MDGs, that's the Millennium Development Goals, which was adopted in 2000 and got expired in 2015, the SDGs is succeeding the MDGs and is contributing to what we call the unfinished business of the MDGs. Now, one of the most important things that we need to know is how the SDGs came about. And it's important to mention that in 2013 to 2015, there was a worldwide consultation on what kind of world we want to see. And in this case, many countries across the globe participated in this consultation. In Ghana, for instance, what we call the Ghana We Want. In Nigeria, you hear coalitions like the Nigeria We Want and all of that. So all the voices and input generated from different countries fed into what we have now as the Sustainable Development Goals. And I remember clearly, it was really a very tough decision for the UN at the time, which is more like the coordinating mechanism, bringing different voices, different countries, different stakeholders together to adopt a new framework that will succeed the MDGs. And it was really a very tough decision to arrive at the current 17 goals that we have. Now, the question of whether the goals are relevant to Africa is also really important. And we must ask ourselves questions taking into consideration the various goals that we have. If you take, for instance, to end poverty, you ask yourself, do we have poverty in Africa? Yes, the answer is big yes. We have many people who are living below the poverty line. People are living under $2 a day or even less than that. We have people living in rural communities with no access to essential services like water supply, energy, security, shelter, and all of these. These are all issues that impact us greatly in Africa. If we take other issues like Goal 8, we talk about economic growth and employment. Again, you will see that these are issues that Africa is battling with. We are unable to provide enough jobs to meet the growing youth populations that we have. Again, if you take all the 17 goals, really, you will see that they are goals that we can identify it within our own working environment, within our own countries. But one thing that is also critical for us to mention is the fact that even though the goals are universal, it is also there is an opportunity for countries to align, adopt, and adapt the SDGs according to their own development needs. So, for instance, a country may not have issues to do with maybe what do you call it, health. Maybe health is general, but you want to look at goals like life below water, life underwater. So if you have countries that do not consider this as important, or maybe they are landlocked countries and they may not consider, life below water as an important goal. So clearly the 17 goals are universal, but each country has its own right to domesticate the goals within their own development framework. So yes, I would say that the SDGs are much more urgent and important than before. And this is really the time for us to have this kind of framework being adopted, universally accepted. And again, just finally to say that unlike the MDGs, which were kind of designed for the developing world in a way, the SDGs is designed in a way that each country has a role to play. So there is no country which can say that it did not have any role in terms of contributing to the SDGs. So this is really important, not only for Africa, but for the rest of the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. When I first asked that question, I said Emmanuel is a convener of the African Youth SDG Summit. So you can tell that he's very passionate, and he came from the angle of history. So when the SDGs came about, there was a worldwide consultation, and that means that you can see yourselves, the problems that are peculiar to different parts of Africa, that are peculiar to Africa, peculiar to other countries, reflected in the goals. So yes, the SDGs are local, they're important, they're relevant, and they're also very representative of the issues that we face. I also like that you said that we can identify with the goals. So if you're looking at SDG 4, for example, which Shima is very passionate about, you can see the street children, out of school children in your communities, and see how that sort of affects them. And when you even think about the unpopular SDGs when it comes to SDG 13, the SDGs about life underwater, you start to think, I'm not a fish. How does that really affect me? But then you think about the fact that, apologies. I hope you can hear me. It seems I got muted for a second. So yes, okay, amazing, thank you. So when you start to look at the SDGs, you can really identify with the problems when you pick at them one by one. So yes, you can identify with the goals. That's interesting. So I'll move over to Edward and ask the very same question. You are a development professional, so that means you have a unique angle towards the SDGs. You work along those lines. You've met certain persons, that you've impacted with the work that you've done. Would you say the SDGs are relevant to Africa? Over to you, Edward.
All right. Thank you very much, Catherine, for hosting me, and greetings to each and every one of you. I'm glad to be joining all of you from Kenya. And I'll start by saying that it's very imperative that we have SDGs in Africa. While we've made so much progress, we still have so much progress to achieve. And here's why. I will use data to tell you why SDGs are very important. If you look at the current data and you look at SDG number 1, for example, and SDG number 2 that talks about no poverty and no hunger, you find that Africa is the second driest continent in the world, and around 340 million Africans have no access to safe drinking water. And while we see this happening, we also see that the SDG number 13 around climate action is taking a toll around the aspect of this hunger and access to safe drinking water. And so climate change is becoming a major issue, and it's going to exacerbate the situation further. Additionally, when you look at the other figures, you find that 40% of the 1.4 billion people without access to energy are, for example, in sub-Saharan Africa. And this points to a very dangerous situation when it comes to our seriousness, when it comes to the SDGs as an African continent. And most of the time, you find that 95 million of our farmers in the agricultural sector receive cash payments for their produce, and this is also very subtle when it comes to the aspect of trying to move towards sustainability. And the reason why this data is important, it's because if you look at this data, what it tells us, it gives us an opportunity towards pursuing our goals as Africans. And what will this mean? It's been stated that the UN estimates that by achieving these SDGs as an African continent, it is going to give us access to opportunities and opening a $12 trillion of market opportunities, as well as also creation of about 380 million jobs by 2030. And so this is coming in very handy to show us why it's important for us to achieve this, given that our population as an African continent is very young, where the median age is very young and the continent is young. So it gives us an opportunity for us to benefit more from achieving these SDGs. Additionally, if you look at the progress that we've made, we are still making quite some progress, but the priority that is coming up so much for African continent is the SDG number 8 around decent work and economic growth, which I work around mostly with what we do at Emerging Leaders Foundation Africa. And so this is an area where we are seeing a lot of governments doing very poorly when it comes to implementation of this. And so we need these SDGs for us to end extreme poverty, to end hunger, to end inequality, to tackle climate change, and to build resilient infrastructure so that we can meet our urgent priorities as an African continent. And this will lead to economic growth. It will also lead to achieving safe drinking water, as well as also energy and investments in the agricultural sector. And those are the main reasons why we need SDGs for Africa. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Edward. I love that my panelists have brought in different angles and different perspectives to why we need the SDGs in Africa, and I'm very convinced that we chose right. Thank you so much for being here. I love that you came from a data-driven, approach where you're telling us, if you say we don't need the SDGs, here's why we need the SDGs. So I think what really came at me was I thought young people and I thought jobs, and I thought how we have a very alarming rate of unemployment in Africa. And I hear the SDGs will bring 380 million jobs, and I'm wondering, why are young people not even leading the charge? Because it is for us. If we achieve the SDGs, then that means growth for us. So that brings me to my very next question. This is a very youthful continent, as you rightly said. So that means that if we want to really work towards achieving decent growth, economic growth and development, we need to have young people at the front lines, leading change, promoting the SDGs, working to implement the SDGs, whichever one it is really. So now that we know that it's important for us, how can young people get started? And why is it so important that we lead the charge? I mean, it's not enough for us to just say, oh, okay, the SDGs are important. Let's see what the government does. Why is it so important for young people to lead the charge? I think I'll start with you, Edward. I want to come at that from your angle.
All right, thank you, Catherine. The reason why it's important and why we need young people to get started on these aspects of SDGs is you find that, as you've rightly said, when we look at the median age of our continent, it's about 19.7 years old, making our continent the world's youngest continent, which has actually been recognized by the Agenda 2030 that states that young people are critical agents of change towards ensuring that the Sustainable Development Goals are achieved. And so the overall success of SDGs will depend on youth engagement, because young people are, number one, they are critical thinkers. If you look at their capacity to identify and challenge existing power structures and barriers to change, they have shown that they are critical thinkers. And so bringing them on board will be able to give them an opportunity for them to be engaged in this process, because they have that critical capacity to challenge the existing power structures. We've seen this happening across Africa in different countries where we've seen movements being championed by young people. Additionally, we see that young people are change makers. They are change makers in the sense that we've seen they are change makers through the aspect of technology. They are taking action when it comes to using technology. And one of the reasons why youth activism is on the rise is because it's being broadened by the aspect of connectivity and access to social media. Young people have taken their engagement from offline engagement to online engagement, and giving that ability for them to use those platforms provide a central role for them to be key activators towards ensuring that SDGs are also being achieved. We find that also young people are innovators. Look at the ideas they are bringing into the different perspectives, the knowledge they are bringing, the insights they are bringing into issues. that are not accessible to other young people. They are helping in becoming communicators. For a good example is looking at this initiative of Youth Day of Service, which is an action that is geared towards ensuring more young people are involved and aware about SDGs. And so after this, there is hope that they will take the knowledge gathered from here to their fellow youth in their different places and different organizations that they work with. And so it points towards young people as key innovators. The other reason why we need to involve them is that they are leaders. Majority of young people are leaders in their own right. And this is what we've seen. We've seen a lot of young people who are empowering themselves. They're also empowered to access knowledge, because when they access those knowledge, skills, and networks, they are able to develop their leadership skills that can drive change in their communities and their networks. And we've seen this at the work that we're doing under Emerging Leaders Foundation, where we seek to build the next generation of values-based leaders. And we've seen that when young people are given the right tools towards leadership, they are able to accelerate those changes in their communities. And key specifically, they will be able to initiate their different initiatives that will lead to the successes of the SDGs that we are looking for. And so these are the main important reasons why young people must be involved in this process.
Thank you so much, Edward. That was very, very rich. And I think I'll just write on that last point that you made and said, when young people are given the skills and the tools, you see them accelerate change in their respective sectors. And I like the fact that you talked about innovation a lot, talked about how young persons are energetic. And, you know, at Leap Africa with the Youth Day of Service, we really want to bring this message out. So while we're trying to do a program with the Youth Day of Service, we're also trying to put out a message to say young persons are youthful and useful. All they need is that you trust them, give them the skills, give them the tools, you know, build their agency, give them those assets, let them be key contributors to national development, to community development, and then see them shine. So what I want to draw from that is that it's really, really, really important that we come together in non-profits, the government, private sector, we come together, partner on working on young people's. Let's see how we can get them those tools and the skills and the resources that's needed. Because it's not just enough to say, oh, Africa is a youthful population, or it's a demographic dividend, or we're at the forefront of, you know, leading economic growth because we have so many people that are going to work in the next few years. But these young persons that we're relying so much on, do they have the tools? Do they have the skills? Are we even empowering them? Are we encouraging them to be a part of decision making? That's very interesting. I think I'll move over to Emanuel and ask him. So we said that it's important for young people to be a part of contributing to the SDGs. What do we think would help young people stay on course towards achieving this? What do they need really? Can we identify those platforms that we can get young people on to really see them grow in the next few years as we try to achieve the goal by 2030?
Right. Thank you very much for the question. And to build on what Edward earlier on said, I think that never in the history of Africa have we seen young people been so much engaged in their own development and development of the African continent than now. Increasingly, we are seeing a lot of creativity being emerging from different, different countries across the continent. You will agree with me that when the SDGs were adopted, young people were at the forefront, even leading to the adoption of the SDGs itself and the post-adoption process. We have seen a lot of young people creating awareness in communities, in schools, and using different platforms just to create that kind of local ownership of the SDGs. This is a clear example of the resilience that we bring to the table and how passionate we are to see our communities, our countries, and ultimately the African continent develop. One of the things that I've seen as we organize the African Youth SDG Summit across the continent is the mismatch that we have between expectations that the youth have for, their own development, or for the kind of solutions that they are creating, and the realities that are happening within their own country. So, for instance, you come across a young person who has created a solution to address maybe educational gaps in communities, or to address health challenges, or conflict, peace, and security issues within a community. But oftentimes the expectation will be that these innovations will be welcome and will receive the maximum support from our stakeholders, be it the government, the UN system itself, the private sector, and the corporate world in general, to support these innovations to scale up and to be able to have maximum impact on society. Unfortunately, the situation is the opposite, where many at times you see young people creating innovative ideas, but they do not have the requisite technical support, financial support, and all the knowledge that is required to be able to launch and scale up a very robust innovation. So that is one of the gaps that I see, despite the fact that we are seeing increasingly emerging solutions that are being led by young people. For instance, if you go to Ghana, there's a program they recently launched, which you call it the Youth Start program. You will assume that the government having announced maybe putting into $10 million, for instance, into that program. For me, that is really a good money that can go a long way to support many entrepreneurs to scale up their businesses. But you'll be surprised to know that at the end of the program implementation period, the government will not be able to hold 2, 3, 4, even 10 entrepreneurs that they have concretely supported to scale up their innovations, to scale up their businesses. So what we see is that a lot of funding are coming in the name of young people, yet those funding do not go to the very people who need them to be able to implement their solutions. So this is really a big problem. And I think that if we are to harness the potential of the youth in Africa, there's a need for us to look into this. And for many of us who are in the advocacy space, we must ensure that resources that are allocated to youth development are actually implemented fully, and that the youth are actual beneficiaries of those programs. And without we holding our leaders to the fire and making sure that they are able to account, I can tell you that year in, year out, a lot of resources will be allocated to youth development, yet we will still have a lot of young people struggling to, build their own entrepreneurship enterprises and build their own businesses. One of the second thing I also want to talk about is the lack of interactions between African young people. And I like this conversation this afternoon because I see we are having different countries being represented in this dialogue. And this is really important. We must talk among ourselves. We must exchange ideas. We must exchange what is working in our countries, what is not working, how can we collaborate. Nigeria and Ghana, for instance, are like brothers and sisters. We have been doing a lot of things together for many years. Can we begin to think about how we can create platforms for exchange of knowledge between the youth of Nigeria, the youth of Ghana, for instance? We at Youth Advocate Ghana, one of the things that we want to do using the African Youth SDG Summit is to create that common platform, a platform for knowledge sharing, a platform for knowledge transfer, a platform for networking, building of partnership, and ensuring that we are creating synergies across board, across the different sectors that we do. Even as we do that, we are able to build ourselves up to be able to mobilize the kind of resource that is needed to transform our continent and transform our Africa. And I can tell you, if you go to Europe, you see that many youth entrepreneurs are able to tap into huge financial resources. But that is not the case for us in Africa. This must change. If we want to build youth enterprises that are sustainable, robust, and are able to produce more jobs, then there's a need for us to make huge investment, not just giving handouts to young people, sometimes $1,000, $2,000, and then the government will make a lot of noise about it. No, we have gone past that. We need the millions directly being invested to youth enterprise. I think those are the things that will change the day. And those are the things that will change the kind of situation that we find ourselves in. And so I think as we reflect and as we dialogue, these are some of the reflections that I bring to the table. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. I think you made such strong points. I think for me, what really stuck out for me were 2 points that you made about the need for that interaction, that cross collaboration with youth across different countries, across different communities. There needs to be platforms for knowledge exchange. I think that was really powerful. And I think the second thing that really resonated with me that also leads to the next question is really just making investments in young people. When we think of young investments in young people, we think very quickly, oh, let's just pump some money, let's give them all this $10,000 grant, and then that's fine. But somehow we forget that just looking at education itself, which is what I'm going to come to share my next talk about, is the fact that young persons, we seem to have a lot of capacity building sessions going on. We're just putting them into these immersions, and then they're coming out and they were giving them money, and then they're mismanaging this money, and then before we know it, they can't scale. There's some mismatch between the skills that we're teaching in the classroom and what happens out on the field. So Shima, I'll come over to you from the angle of education, really. What would you say is going on right there with educating our young persons in Africa? A lot of the times we believe that once you put some young people on an LMS and they go through different courses on leadership, on business support services and a couple of other things, then that means they'll come out of that class just doing things differently. Where is the opportunity for them to practice and achieve that level of mastery? What do you think is going on there? Skills in the classroom and just coming out in the real world.
So let's confess that we have a big issue in our system in Africa when it comes to quality education. What we are studying in the school and universities is totally different from what we are requested to have in the labor market. Whether you are an entrepreneur or you are working for private sector, international sector, whatever sector you are working for, you will always feel that when you're applying for such opportunities that you don't have the required skills or after graduation immediately. So let me talk about, for example, the examples you have said after COVID. Most of organizations started to shift to digital platform, making a lot of courses for students and younger graduates around the world to practice such skills. But it's I don't know how to say it, but not every youth go to this kind of platform and learn this knowledge and have the right skills, because digital education only will not be the right solution for youth in Africa, to be honest. Youth need to practice because they didn't have the opportunity to practice this at school or university. So we have two solutions here. The first one from the government, African governments, to start to update their curriculum. And it's already happening in several countries like Kenya, South Africa, here in Egypt too. We are revisiting the content again to be matching with what's happening or what requested in the labor market. So we have some skills right now, like digital skills, programming, presentation, communication. It's not only about plain boxes that you go to put in the exam at the end of the day. So this is a solution which will take time for sure. And there is another solution that I see a lot of youth are working on it, which is work on yourself. You have a lot of opportunities. Yeah, you might not be connected with this, but you need to search. There is a lot of organizations that offer funds, that offer opportunities, that offer scholarship within your country and abroad. So we need to find this kind of opportunities. And actually, it's everywhere in Africa, everywhere in your own community. The government support you with some programs to engage you. I'm not sure about that this is happening in all African countries, but there is a lot of African countries that have this kind of involvement program and upscaling skills. But also, I always support my colleagues and youth to go abroad. It's better. It's very important to have this abroad knowledge, have these skills from countries that already have more developed content about this kind of skills. Like I always say that I'm totally proud that I gained my experience from abroad, because I took this experience and came back again to my country to work with the government and support the education and share innovative idea in terms of implementation and supporting other youth. So to be honest, I'm not always happy about the idea that youth is not well connected with opportunities, not youth have no support. We are totally agree that we don't have the support we need like other countries like Europe, for example. Like I always travel to Europe because of my work, and I feel always sad that they have more opportunities than us. Their government actually take care of them. They give them the skills they need all the time. They took very nice position immediately after they finish their school. Unlike us, we have to work on ourselves several years in order to have just entry level position. So I always advise you to search, apply for scholarship, learn how to write your CV, learn how to write a motivational letter, learn how to network with other youth from abroad and get this kind of opportunities. So self-development actually is the key answer for how to raise the capacity of youth. And it's not always the government, to be honest. Our government has a lot actually to solve during the upcoming decades, not the upcoming years. So if we are, we will be waiting for the other organization and the government to come and support us and raise our skills, it will not happen. Let's be honest with ourselves. Like most of the famous youth in Africa or youth leader in Africa, you will always see them working on themselves by self-development. They are not supported always by government. Yeah, they supported after many years by the government, but they started by working on themselves, by equipping themselves by the right skills. Right now, digital education, I'm EdTech expert, but I'm not always with digital education because, as you said, we need to practice those kind of skills by hand, not only by computers. And computer will not always give you the skills and knowledge you need. But at least as a start, equip yourself with the skills you need through digital programs, digital courses. There's a lot of free resources on the internet, but always search for the opportunity in your community. And actually, most of the international organizations like UNICEF, United Nations, CARE, and all of these organizations are offering a lot of opportunities and the program for youth under the SDGs, you know. So you just need a little bit of search to find this program. And also, I'm sure my colleagues can give more about this kind of opportunities. And actually, in some programs, because I have worked with a lot of organizations on this kind of capacity building for youth, we couldn't find the youth who can take this fund, who can take this program, you know? So we need to be more energetic to scale ourselves, actually.
Thank you so much, Shima, for sharing that. I think some things really resonated with me as you shared. As a young person, you have to network by yourself. You have to be exposed. Make sure you're making friends with people outside, you know, your comfort zone. Reach out to other young persons across different countries. Join communities. It could be virtual. And just really start to understand why people tick the way they do, what people are learning. At Leap Africa, we say, you know, when it comes to leadership, it's across different dimensions. So first, you have to be a leader of self. That means you have to be self-aware, understand what you need, understand what you're strong at. Really just start to understand yourself first before you attempt to lead other people, before you attempt to lead organizations and initiatives. Lead yourself first, understand the kind of person you are, and then we ask you to lead laterally. So lead your peers, you know, lead others. Begin to understand the demands, start building capacity, you know, just to fill the gaps that others have, and see how you can come to help. And lastly, we always say, you know, before you go ahead to lead communities, lead organizations, you have to first master yourself. Understand the gaps that you have, start to grow from there, and then you can become a leader that, you know, can take charge of teams, can lead others, you know, can even lead up. You can lead your boss if possible. So thank you so much, Shima, for sharing that. We cannot begin to continue to say, oh, the government is the government that. Yes, we understand that these are unique things to Africa, but then we also have to be very deliberate about our own growth and our learning. Thank you, Shima. I see Emanuel Emanuel is back. Just checking. I think we started to have some rich conversations. I'd just like to hear from the audience and see what points have really resonated with you as we go ahead. I want to see a few comments in the chat. I see leaders of people are first leaders of self. Thank you. Be very intentional about your self-development and learning. I want to see comments. Let us know what you're learning. Let's understand, you know, what you're thinking. was speaking and speaking, but want to hear from you. I see Ohiwa saying, be open to learn so that you grow. Thank you. Personal development is very key. Always find opportunities in your communities. Exactly. You do not have to reach 10 million, 10,000. You can start with your community members. Looking for more points. Your network is your net worth. Okay, thank you. I think that's one we're going to hold very, very close to heart. I see don't always wait for someone to offer help. I see ask yourself if you're ready for the opportunity. I strongly believe your network determines your net worth. Okay, Emmanuel, that's interesting. We actually want to hear more from you because you seem, to be so convinced. You must be charged before you become in charge. Okay, I see we have, a lot of leaders in the room. I see you must be charged before you become in charge. That's very interesting. We have a lot of brilliant persons in the room. Okay, if you have questions, please put that in the Q&A section and we're going to take them shortly. Just one more question before we go, so we can really get to asking questions. So I want to talk about challenges in implementing the SDGs. So we said a lot of things about how important it is that we achieve these SDGs, why it's important for young persons to lead the charge. We've identified different opportunities for young persons to start to leverage on the skills that they already have and look for opportunities to build on more skills. And we've also talked about how, to achieve a level of mastery, you have to go out there in the field, volunteer, join projects, really start to build on those skills. What challenges do we see that even young persons that have become leaders of self, that have exposed themselves to other minds and other, mindsets and ideals, and really just try to put it together into one beautiful box? What can we say that are some of the challenges that really resonate with young people on the continent when it comes to driving initiatives that promote the SDGs? I think I'll start with Edward, and then we'll move on to Shima and then Emmanuel. Just very quickly, what do you think are the challenges? And just say a challenge and an opportunity, just a challenge and how to solve it, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Catherine. One of the challenges I've seen happening has been this crisis that has been happening to the world, and this is the COVID-19 crisis. Why is this a challenge? Without doubt, you find that the COVID-19 crisis makes us achieving SDGs much harder because it has taken us back, but it has also given us a challenge for us to come up with creative solutions and given us an opportunity to map out the different courses that we can take as a continent. You find that COVID-19 has affected us in the sense that we have lost an equivalent of about 255 million jobs, and this has also led to the number of people suffering from hunger to climb an increase by about 83 to 132 million. And so this has taken back the achievement that we had once made, but it's also giving us learnings that we can learn from this challenge and have a forward analysis towards the future. What is the opportunity that exists with this challenge? The opportunity that exists is, first, we see that we need to invest in data and information infrastructure as a continent, because this is very critical. It has shown us that without data, without us having infrastructure, we cannot thrive towards the future. We need to have our own data where we can be able to predict different sequences that are coming, different things that are there in the world. And as you know, information without data with information without the right data you spend a lot of your time trying to beat around that challenge instead of solving it. And so investing in data and information is very critical towards our achievement of the SDGs. And this can be achieved by us investing in teaching our young people on how to harness the right information of data. There's also a challenge that exists where we've seen there's no much in youth engagement when it comes to SDGs. While progress has been made towards that engagement, what is lacking that we need to stress so much is meaningful youth engagement, where youth are involved from the onset, where youth are asked how they want to solve those problems, not this is the way that you're supposed to solve the problem, and we are giving you funding to solve this problem this way. Youth have to speak towards what solutions they have towards tackling problems. And so we are calling upon meaningful youth engagement that should be there. And this will lead us towards ensuring that this challenge has a lot of ownership towards the young people, not only at the national level, but also at the lower level in the villages, and also when they are young at schools and all that. The other challenge we've seen is that there is a challenge when it comes to digital transformation by different governments when it comes to implementation of this data for SDGs. We've seen there are some countries that have made quite good progress when it comes in documentation of some of these progress that has been made in their countries, but there are some that are lacking behind in the continent. And so we need to put up proper infrastructures that will enable us to harness those data so that we can be able to have a cross-learning experience, and also have to get to produce different intervention towards some of the challenges. Because in the implementation of these SDGs, you find that there are different specific challenges that are facing different countries. And so when we apply a one-size-fits-all approach, then we are able to move from empowering those who are facing the challenges in a specific way. And so we need to, this gives an opportunity for us to invest a lot when it comes to our digital transformation. It also provides an opportunity for us to have open governance systems that can be able to help us track such information. That's I can say for now.
Thank you so much, Edward, for sharing that. Thank you so much. I think for me, really is the way you started. So, if you look into the stats and data, they say, oh, when it was 2019, where Africa was halfway towards, achieving the SDGs by 2030. So that means, we thought we were doing the best things, we're ready, and then COVID happened, and it set us back so many years, and we realized that we don't even have data to support the constituents that we're even reaching across our different impact areas, different SDGs and different programs that we're working on. And it really just begged the question, are we really doing deep work on this continent? Are we really halfway towards achieving the SDGs? So I think your solution is very, very important. Investing in data, investing in infrastructures, and also the low youth engagement also. I mean, if we're really designing youthful programs for young people who really understand the problems, and who would have highlighted from the very beginning that there's low youth engagement in decision making. A lot of times you see youth policies that have no young persons in the acknowledgements. You begin to wonder, was this really designed for youth by youth, or was it just designed just so people could tick boxes? Very, very important points that you're raising. I think I'll move over to Shima at this point. I would like to plead with us to just share two challenges and then two opportunity areas, just so we can move on to questions after this. Thank you. Over to you, Shima.
So actually, I'm gonna mention two challenges that I have been through it myself. So the first challenge is social entrepreneurship in Africa in general. We always say we need to involve youth in social entrepreneurship. Guys, please go and build ideas, find solution, do business, get money and so on. But actually, when the youth come and come and build their startup, they will find a lot of challenges like taxes. I will talk about Egypt, for example. Like, you have to pay around 20% or 14% of your income to the government. You have to take a very long process as used to open a company. It's not easy. Like Europe, for example, I know my colleagues can open their government just 5 minutes on laptop. They can open their company without any restrictions. You have a lot of permission you have to take to have legalized foundation. So if you don't have the power and motivation, you will leave it. So actually, I feel that the main challenge here is that some governments in Africa kills the social entrepreneurship that youth can actually contribute through it to the government and community and EDG4. The opportunity is there is a lot of communities, at least I know there is some in Kenya, there is some in Nigeria, there is some in Egypt that started to support youth entrepreneurs. So we found this kind of community started to grow up, like a lot of startups from several parts of Africa coming together, contribute and contribute and exchange ideas. There is a lot of support from within Africa and outside Africa to this kind of communities. We have some well-known communities and events that support this kind of entrepreneurs and the startups to just come up and overcome these kind of challenges that entrepreneurs might face in Africa. And actually, this raised the potential of youth entrepreneurs in Africa. Nowadays, especially after COVID, we have a lot of startups that tackled COVID consequences. And most of these startups are coming from youth. Like you will find digital apps that will deliver food to your home. You will find digital apps that will deliver medicine to your home and so on. So actually we need to invest in youth because you guys, we have innovative ideas because we are leaving the problem and we are more free in terms of finding solution. We are not have this kind of bureaucracy in our thinking or too much process to go through. We just think and in the same time implement. So we need kind of support in this kind of facilitation. The second challenge is, as my colleague Edward say, COVID came, and as you said, Catherine, it took us back 10 or 20 years from what we were doing. Like most of international organization took like 1 year choked. We don't know what to do. Our projects are stopped. We can't implement any more project in not only in Africa, in the whole world. We were closed for over 2 years actually. But it was really a great opportunity for several sectors. Let me talk about education. In education, we started to have a more innovative idea. We have education technology. Before COVID, no one heard about education technology unless you are in the sector. And most of the governments will not acknowledge education technology and will not legalize education technology. For example, if you are taking online certificate from a university abroad, not every country in Africa will accept this kind of certificate. It's online. So they underestimate this kind of education before COVID. But after COVID, it was a great opportunity for legalizing this kind of education. It opened more opportunities for other youth and the children in several parts of Africa to access education. And before COVID, they didn't have this kind of access. They weren't able to go to school, they work or whatever the reason. Now they have easy access to education material through internet. So also it was it bring another it challenges like digital accessibility, cybersecurity and such stuff, but also it was more opportunity for more youth and the children to practice education, to practice skills, to get get connected with other youth and so on. And such kind of webinars and events before COVID, it wasn't existing. But right now we have webinar where North Africa, West Africa, and South Africa coming together and exchanges ideas and opportunities to other African countries and other African regions. So it was a really great opportunity from my point of view. I just wanted to end my speech here by saying that okay, we have a challenge, but also we have opportunity in each part of, in each problem in Africa, each problem related to SDGs. But we need to be more smart how to find the opportunity and how to work on it. We don't need to be relying all the time on other organizations that we need support. We didn't get support. Yeah, I'm totally agree with you. I'm used like you. And I also suffered during the the past year after my graduation to find the right path, to have the right skills, to go abroad, to get connected. But keep digging, keep searching for opportunities. There is a lot of pages, even in Facebook. We spend on Facebook a lot of hours each day. Like spend just 1 hour to scroll through the scholarship pages, government pages, educate yourself, take the opportunity out of this challenge. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Shima. Shima is charging us and telling us, we're connected people, we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram and Facebook. Let's start to find the opportunities to really promote the SDGs and to really start driving social change across those platforms. Thank you so much. I think that I really like that you highlighted a lot of the gaps that COVID helped us, reveal. But then again, a lot of opportunities came out of that. If this was 2019, early 2019, I'm not sure we would have been on Zoom right now having this conversation. We would have had to wait till we could get into a venue, and that would have involved a lot of, okay, how much for this venue, this, that, let's get everybody in one room, a lot of travel and logistics. But right now, from the comfort of our homes, I'm sure a few of us are on our beds or even on our dining tables eating at the same time as we're listening in. Find the opportunities where the challenges are. As young people, we should make sure that we're looking for the opportunities and not the challenges. Thank you, Shima. Over to you, Emanuel. What would you say are the challenges and what would you say are the opportunity areas based on the challenge that you shared?
Right, thank you very much. I think that I, first of all, agree with my colleagues, Edward and Shima, for the wonderful insight in terms of the challenges and opportunities that we have. I'm just going to share one. I think that if there is anything that is holding Africa back or is holding the development of young people on the continent back, is that of corruption. There is no single day without scandals of corruption in Ghana, and I guess the situation may be different from the rest of the continent. So we see billions of dollars being lost every year to issues of corruption, illicit financial flow, and all of that. And there's a report that suggests that Africa loses about $50 billion every year to corruption alone. If you come to Ghana, the Auditor General's report suggests that Ghana loses about 200 billion Ghana cedis to corruption every year. And these are resources that have been allocated to address our developmental challenges. And if we have a lot of loopholes within our institutions, such a way that resources are lost easily. And I think that these resources deny us the future that we want, denies us the decent jobs that we want, denies us the quality of education, denies us access to technology and infrastructure that will see Africa be at par with the rest of the world and be able to become globally competitive in the things that we do. So for me, if there is anything that young people in Africa should be much more worried about, is how resources are lost through illegitimate means. And if we open the floor, I'm sure that we will hear countless number of cases of corruption happening within state institutions, private institutions, and different institutions. That, for me, is one of the biggest canker that we must tackle as a continent if we want to see the 2030 agenda being implemented fully, or even if we want to see the agenda 2050 being implemented fully. These are critical things that we must be looking at. In terms of the opportunities, of course, increasingly we are seeing more young people being active. We are seeing more voices being created. There's a need for us to invest in those voices to hold our system, state institutions more accountable. There's also the need for us to become more open-minded, more patriotic, and take the interests of our communities at heart. We need to invest in institutions that will ensure transparency, will ensure that resources that are lost are regained, and corporate are investigated and punished. I think these are really critical for us if we wanted to move beyond Ghana aid or Ghana beyond aid or Africa beyond aid, and be able to come to the point where we are able to finance our own development. I think these are critical issues for us to reflect on. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Emanuel. I think you just raised a particular point that a lot of people in the room are saying, oh, yes, yes, yes. I'd like to ask us a question. If you're in the room or you've ever cut a line or you've ever paid someone just to make a process faster, just put your hand up. Let's be honest. I want to see emojis. I want to see a thumbs up or your hand up if you've ever paid someone or you've ever cut a line and denied other people of getting something when it was their turn. Let's be honest. Leave in the comments an emoji very quickly if you've been a part of that before. Have you ever cut in line? Have you ever paid anyone for anything? I see Ile Sami Bello with the emoji, so I know he has done that. Let's be honest. If you have ever, I see a lot of us doing yes and yes and yes. And we talk about corruption, people. But it starts with us. It starts with us. Our leaders were once like us, and they allowed these things happen. And now very easy. If you say corruption, you point at the leaders very, very quickly. But you forget that as a person, as young people, we're also enabling those practices. So while we're on the quest for a better Africa, we have to tackle corruption, and it starts from us. It starts from the very person next to you. It starts from you as you're on the call right now. It starts from me. I mean, just think about the fact that every time you pay someone a bribe just to get something done, every time you skip a line, just think about the fact that we're losing $50 billion to corruption in Nigeria. I'm sorry, in Africa. Apologies. Every other year. So imagine what that's like. I know a lot of us are taking calculations and converting $50 billion to our currency just to see how much, but it is a lot of money, and it is a lot of things that we're enabling. All right. Okay, so I think that we're wrapping up very nicely, but I'd like to give our panelists just a minute each, just to share their last words with us. So we're having this conversation about the SDGs because of the Ydos service, which is our way of asking Africa's youth to go out there and be youthful and useful, start an SDG action project, get out there and contribute to the community, get out there and reach someone, get out there and touch someone's life. What will be your final word for a minute that you'd like to share with Africa's youth? I think I'll start with Shima and then move over to Emanuel and then finalize with Edward.
I think my last word, and it's really important, I always end by this advice to my colleagues in any webinar I'm part of or any event, is guys, make yourself unique. If you will not be able to make yourself unique, don't ask for support from anyone. Like, for example, you have after graduation, or even if you are part of a university or whatever, volunteer, be part of international organization, apply for scholarships and events and conferences, training outside your country, maybe in Africa or any other international country. So when you will be able to get this knowledge, you will start your route toward being unique. You will have the knowledge, but not only the knowledge for developing your community, but firstly developing yourself, because you will not be able to develop your community or country without being skilled or without having the right knowledge, without like working on yourself actually to have the right skills to work on your area. Because I see a lot of people who, oh, okay, we need to develop our country, we need to develop our community, but actually I always ask them, what you did to develop yourself? So I want to take more than 1 minute, but I might share with you some platform where you can find scholarship, conferences, and all of this is totally fully funded. Actually, some of them give you some money to sustain. So please search for this kind of opportunities and apply, learn how to apply, because it's a skill right now to get us to land this kind of opportunity. So I might share with you my LinkedIn. I always post like weekly opportunities, fully funded opportunities for Africans. Yeah.
Right. Thank you, Shima. I think when you said scholarship, Blessing was like, I like fully funded scholarships. So she's very excited. So Shima is asking you to be unique. Go out there, develop yourself. We said at the very beginning, as a leader, you have to lead self first before you can lead others. So go out there and be unique, get opportunities, build capacity, and see yourself stand out. Okay, going over to Emmanuel. Last words.
Yes, thank you very much. For me, I think that even as we wrap up on this conversation, it's important for us to identify our niche around the SDGs. I know that we are all passionate about the SDGs, but what specifically are you doing as your contribution to the SDGs implementation? If it has to do with health, education, make it visible. Let's build strong coalition with other networks with other individuals who are equally passionate about the things that you are passionate about, and together let's make the SDGs a reality. I do appreciate the fact that COVID-19 has set us back in the way, but even as we push, progress will become more visible. Progress will be enriched, and that by 2030, even if we are unable to attain the SDGs, we'll get to a point where it will just need a few years to be able to get to the level where we can feel proud of ourselves. We can feel proud that we have been able to defeat poverty. We have been able to create more opportunities for our children to be able to go to school, and we have more employment avenues for our young people across the continent. I thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. Emmanuel is asking you to identify your niche, decide what SDG you want to implement. Right now, you're currently placed in virtual communities on WhatsApp, on Facebook, on Telegram for the Ydos service with other people from across different countries. And if you're just scrolling past the messages, then you're wrong. You need to look for someone as spirited as you are that works in the same SDG you're interested in. Join them, volunteer with them, lead a project with them, and let's get closer, much closer to the 2030 goal. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. Moving over to Edward.
All right, thank you, Catherine. I will end by saying that if you're not on the table, then you are on the menu. And if you're on the menu, then you are eaten. And so, my fellow African youth, let's not be eaten. I am very optimistic that the African youth will one day take up their role as equal development partners in the continent and in the implementation of SDGs, because I believe that yes, youth can. It's been an honor. Thank you very much for hosting me.
So much, Edward. I think what you had said at the very beginning just really sank in. Edward says, if you're not on the table, then you're on the menu. And if you're on the menu, you're going to be eaten. So you want to be with the decision makers. You want to be a part of the decision making. You don't want to be eaten. Make sure that you're going out there first, leading self, looking out for those opportunities, building capacity. Emmanuel also says that you have to go out there as young persons, Edward, and look for the SDGs that you're passionate about, collaborate with other people, and make sure that you're moving the needle as we look towards 2030 to actualize the SDGs. And Edward tells you, if you're not on the table, you're going to be on the menu, and if you're on the menu, you're going to be eating. I wrote that down. I'm going to be sharing that with my friends later today, just because that really resonated with me. You, as a young person, you want to be a part of the decision making. You don't just want to be part of the audience. Thank you so much, Edward. So I think we can take questions and answers now. It has been a very, very powerful conversation. I really loved it. I enjoyed myself, and I can see 6 other people enjoyed themselves and have a few questions that you would like to ask. So Smith is asking, how do we localize our approach in achieving the SDG goals? I know that we started with that. I'm not sure if Emmanuel wants to take a crack at that, or any other of our panelists, just to talk about how do we localize our approach in achieving the SDGs. Does any panelist want to take a crack at that? Please feel free. Just checking if you can hear me. The first question we have currently says, how do we localize our approach in achieving the SDG goals? I think I would, okay.
I can take a quick bite on that. I think for the localization of the goals, start with us. As we already said, that the goals are the issues that we are faced on our everyday lives, issues of poverty, education, unemployment, healthcare, gender equality, sexual and gender-based violence issues. So these are the issues that we see on our daily basis. If you come across these issues, then it means that these issues are very close to you. How to localize it? What can you do in the first place to ensure the localization of these issues? For you to acknowledge that indeed these problems exist. And if they exist, what can we do? You may not have all the answers to these questions, but through you can begin to reach out to other stakeholders within your networks, within your communities, who equally are passionate about the issues that you care about. And that is where we can begin to localization, and that is where the solution can start from. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. Thank you for that. And I think that, I just want to add to that to tell you to, like Emmanuel said at the very beginning, if you remember, he says, find yourself in the goals, identify with the goals, see what touches you, and then you can understand how to localize that. I have a question here from Victor Kinua. He's asking how a typical African youth can help in the implementation of the SDGs. I think I'll take that very quickly, because the YDOS is that opportunity. As a young person, if you're on this call and I know you're part of the UD of Service train, then you're wrong. You need to go on www.udofservice.org, register to lead a project, or even just volunteer on an existing one and see how you can join other people in your location across Africa to be a part of promoting the SDGs and actually doing something about them. That's very quickly a way to be a part of the action. I have a question from Zachariah Dauda. So sorry if I mispronounced that. He's asking, how do you carry out a project despite being faced with financial constraints? I'm not sure who would want to answer that. How do you carry out a project, an SDG action project, when you're faced with financial constraints? Okay, Shima, please go ahead.
I'm just trying to unmute myself. So actually there is a lot of fund right now. I'm not sure where are you located in Africa, but there is a lot of international fund for health related projects. So what you need actually is to just search for it and apply. But also you need to know how to apply. You need to present outcomes, what you have done through the past few months or past few years since you already existed. Share some picture of your work, you will get the fund, because actually I'm scrolling through this kind of fund each week, and I get I invite health people because they have more funds than education people. So you guys have a lot of fun. You just need to search for European Union Commission funds. They have a lot of fund in Africa. USAID. I hope to say African Union one day, but they don't have fund for this kind of projects. There is also some organization within your community that actually present this fund to use. Maybe UNICEF have some kind of fund toward this kind of programs. And what you can do is searching for this kind of open fund program. Otherwise, you can directly go and contact the organizations like UNICEF. So you can go for UNICEF, show them their work, portfolio, and for sure, if they are interested in what you have done already, they will fund and partner with you. So you just need to look for the right partner.
Thank you so much, Shima, for sharing that. Shima has shared a few opportunities, but I also want to come from the unpopular angle where I say that in running projects, all you need are not financial resources. Resources can come at you from different forms. And as a leader, you have to use your relationships to access those funds. So if, for instance, you're starting out and you don't have the certifications or the documentation to access certain funds, then you want to start from your own group. Your friends, your family, how are you crowdfunding? How are you engaging them on board as volunteers just to be a part of the action? And the UDL service does that for you. So if you're registering a project, you're connected with volunteers or virtual communities to assist you. Interesting conversations. I see Tommy Itwen that has a question directly for Shima. He says it's Tony from Nigeria, founder of AKSAID. And it's asking you to share your vision towards strengthening education in Africa beyond borders of limitation. And he's asking that if you need partners, he wants to contact you. You can look up for her on LinkedIn, Shima Khalid. You find her LinkedIn. I'm sure if you shoot her a message, she'll have an answer for you. But he's asking that you also share your vision or goals towards strengthening education in Africa.
So for the second part of the question, as Catherine said, you can reach me out through LinkedIn. We can talk about how we can partner together. For my vision is very clear. When you follow me in any social media, you'll find that I always say that we need education that met the labor market in Africa. I need education that I can apply and use after being a graduate. So I don't need this kind of education where I have a lot of books, and once I finish the school, I don't use this knowledge. So because we are not at this age anymore. So quality education, actually, this is my vision, and this is what I'm working for. I work on this in Africa with African Union. I was working in Kenya with several organizations. I've been based in Kenya for some years. And recently I'm working in this with European Union Commission with focus in Africa and Europe. I also through my government here in Egypt by digitalizing the education process to leave no one behind and train teachers and the students on this kind of new education in the current age. So to sum up, my aim or my goal in general in education is quality education should be the right for everyone.
Thank you so much, Chima, for answering that. I see a question from, okay, Victor, we're taking a question from you, so I'll take one from someone else. I see Kashim Suleiman saying, every time I go out to volunteer, my family always laughs at me, asking me how much I'll be paid. And my siblings always think I'm joking. And he's saying, you know, to reach out to other young persons like himself, how can he explain that community service is something every young person needs to embrace? I'm not sure who would like to take a crack at that. That's a very interesting question, and it's something that we see happen with young people often.
I can.
Okay, Edward.
Thank you for that question. That is okay, the name has disappeared. Community service is very important. It stems from a very personal conviction. And sometimes when you are trying to explain yourself to other people, they may not see what you're seeing. And so the first thing that you have to do is to believe in yourself, that whatever community service you're pursuing on, or whatever volunteership role that you are in, that everything will connect at the end of the day. And being a volunteer is very important because it gives you enough skills to be able to add to your own skills that you have. It also gives you an ability for you to learn. It gives you an ability to do what I'll call URL. That is, unlearn, relearn, and learn again. And so what I'll tell you is just believe in yourself. Don't worry what people are going to say, because people will always tell you that you have to follow money, but money is not everything that you need to follow. Sometimes you need to follow the skills that you are pursuing, and when you have those skills, you'll have value, and money will come after you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Edward, for answering that. That was very apt. I see a question from Basi. This has already been answered. Shima has spoken to funding. Let's move on to a question I think I saw. So it's a very interesting question. An anonymous attendee is asking, is it possible for us to achieve the SDGs without controlling the birth rates? Because he thinks that, or she thinks that this is the key reason that's holding achieving the SDGs by 2030. That's a very interesting perspective. I'll take that again. It's asking, will it be possible for us to achieve the SDGs without controlling the birth rates? Because it thinks this is a hindrance to achieving the SDGs by 2030. Do I have a volunteer?
Well, I can.
Yeah, you can go because I don't have knowledge in this one. You can go.
Yes, I do believe it would be possible for us to achieve the SDGs. We may not achieve it at the year 2030 because of different dynamic factors, but the birth rate issue, as long as we have put in place systems and structures that we need according to the SDG number 1, number 2, and number 3, specifically around good health, we will be able to achieve it without an aspect of us having it as an issue. The aspect that gives us a better view of the other continent as an African continent is the fact that our continent, we are very young, and so it gives an opportunity for us to flex that muscle. And the main challenge that can come our way is how are we able to leverage these resource personnel as youth to be able to achieve those goals by ensuring that there is ownership among the younger generation.
Thank you so much, Edward, for taking a crack at that. I hope that that question was answered. Shima, would you like to lend a voice to that, or you're fine with that?
No, I'm fine. It's okay for me.
Thank you. Okay, so I think our time is far spent, but I see a few questions in the comments. I'd like the panelists to take, a crack at answering some just by typing the answers. Anything YDS related, the team is going to answer that. But if you see any question that you think you have an answer for, please try to type that, and then you can go ahead. This has been a wonderful conversation, but I wouldn't want to keep us for too long than planned. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. It has been a wonderful conversation. Thank you, Edward. Thank you, Shima. Thank you, Emmanuel, for joining the conversation. I want to say that, just from having this conversation, a lot of things have come out of it. A lot of things I'm going to go back and think about the work that I do, and I'm sure you're going to do the same. We have a lot of early nonprofit founders, a lot of young persons on the call that also have a lot of things to say about the SDGs. And I want to see a lot of things come out from this. If some of the things that we said today touched you, write an article, do a post on LinkedIn. Let's understand what you're thinking around the SDGs and how you want to tackle them, what you think young Africans need to do to move closer towards achieving this by 2030. It might seem far, but it's already just about less than 8 years to go. We want to see your opinions, tag Leap Africa, tag Shima, tag Edward, tag Emmanuel. Let's understand what you're thinking about the conversation around the youth and their role in achieving the SDGs. This has been a wonderful, wonderful conversation for me. And I'd like to say thank you to Edward from Emerging Leaders Foundation. They're on board as an implementing partner for the UD service this year. So thank you so much for coming, Edward. I see Sakura on the call. Thank you, Shima, for coming. Looking forward to having you on board the UD service wherever you are. Also, thank you so much, Emmanuel, for lending the voice. I'll be handing over to the host at this point. Over to you, Ijoma. Thank you.
Hello, Catherine. Thank you so much. This has been a very engaging session. It's been absolutely engaging, and of course, I'm going now with the analogy: if you're not on the table, you're on the menu, and you're gonna be eaten. So if you're coming to the table, you're coming to influence policies, to influence change. And I want us all to go out with that today. Thank you so much, Shima, for your contributions. Thank you, Emma. Thank you, Edward. Okay, Emma is out. Thank you, everyone. So as Catherine had mentioned, we have a few next steps. And I would love to invite my colleague, Ebuka, to come and brief us on the next steps to take for the YDOS as we join the YDOS train. So Ebuka, over to you.
Very much. Thank you very much, IJ. And indeed, I enjoyed myself all through the wonderful session. And like you said, there's one thing I'll take off from what we learned today is get off the menu and get onto the table. Thank you very much, Edward, for that fantastic quote. And for you to get off the menu and join the table, one of the first steps you can do is join the YDOS train. And for you to join the YDOS train, you can either volunteer for an already existing project or volunteer to lead a project by yourself. And the way to do this is by going to www.udayofservice.org. My colleague will put up the website on the chat box. So you can either volunteer for an already existing project or volunteer to lead a project by yourself in your country or your community or your neighborhood. And the next on my agenda, we have a Twitter space, but on August 5th, this Friday, it's going to be a very wonderful Twitter space. We're having it in collaboration with DAO. It's the theme of the event is climate change, how it is affecting us, and what we need to do as an organization, what we need to do as individuals for climate change. Is going to be held on August 5th on Friday by 5 p.m. West African time. We also have our onboarding training session for all the volunteers and all the project leads happening on Saturday, August 6th by 11 a.m. So it's very important that you attend these two events so that you have more clarity on the UD service. If you have any questions, it'd be very good for you to come on board during that session, especially the onboarding session, to come and hear about the step-by-step ways to start a project, how to fund your project, how to get volunteers. So it's very important that you attend. the onboarding session, and also very important that you attend our Twitter space talking about climate change, how we can localize the SDG 13, and how we can simplify it as much as possible for the African constituents. All right, moving on to the next thing. You can follow Leap Africa on all social media handles. We can follow Leap Africa on all social media handles via Leap Africa, at Leap Africa on Instagram, Leap Africa at Facebook, and Leap Africa on Twitter. You can also follow the Youth Day of Service, same on Leap Africa on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Youth Day of Service. For more information about the Youth Day of Service, like I said before, you can go on to www.youthdayofservice.org. For any inquiries or complaints or any issues you're currently having, quickly send us an email at youthdayofservice@leapafrica.org. We also have some resources and toolkits for you. Like I said, how to be a volunteer, how to be a project lead, how to get volunteers, how to raise funds. You can get all of that information at www.youthdayofservice.org/resources. Yeah. And remember, we currently have a sub-granting opportunity for project leads currently dwelling in Lagos, with the focus on the SDG tour with our partner BSG. Focus on sustainable consumption for SDG 12. The deadline for submitting your proposal is Sunday, August 7th. So ensure you send in your proposal for the project, what you intend to do for responsible consumption, to send to our email at ydos@leapafrica.org. And also, like we said, the second way for you to get off the menu and onto the table is for you to invite someone else. You know, we have 1.2 billion youths in Africa, and everybody knows someone. So it's very important at the end of this webinar, reach out to somebody, talk to your brother, talk to your sister, talk to your friend, your cousin, somebody, anybody. Tell them about the Youth Day of Service, the importance of the Youth Day of Service, why it's important for them to volunteer their time, their effort, their energy, and their resources to make Africa better, whether you're in Nairobi, whether you're in Lusaka, whether you're in Johannesburg, or all the way in Cairo. It's important that you share the news about the Youth Day of Service to somebody that you know. It's super, super important. You can also join our virtual community. That's the third step on how to get up the menu and onto the table. So join our community of wonderful project leads from across Africa. My colleague is currently putting the link to join our virtual community. So we have a community on Telegram, we have a community on Facebook, we have a community on WhatsApp. So it's very important that you join either of these communities to be up to date on all the information concerning the Youth Day of Service, funding opportunities, project opportunities, and also volunteer opportunities coming all the way from Ydos and Leap Africa. And finally, I want to say a very big thank you to our partners, DAO. The Youth Day of Service is proudly brought to you by Leap Africa and our partners and sponsors, DAO. Thank you so much. And I'll be handing over back to the host, IJ. Over to you, IJ.
Thank you, everyone. I want someone to just, anyone drop, a chat in the box, something you're happy to go out of here with, something that you'd like to say to somebody after today. Anything. A shout out to our speakers, a shout out to Catherine, to Edward, to Shima. Just a shout out. You can do that in any language that you want as we close out for today. And I want to thank you. We have over 100 people on the call today, and I appreciate you all staying up until this time. I mean, well, you all didn't have a choice because this was a wonderful conversation. Success ahead. Be the change that you want to see. I love that. And I charge you all I want to start seeing people following Youth Day of Service as we speak right now. I have to go home and make a change. That's great. Thank you very much. I want to change my community. Please and please, I want this to be our resolve today, tomorrow, and forever, literally. Congratulations, as you're the change that we want to see in our communities. Congratulations for making these big changes. And also I want to, straight from Shima and all the other speakers, I want to encourage you to seek out ways to make yourselves better. From Leap Africa, we say thank you. Thank you for joining us. It's 4:44 p.m. here, and we say thank you. Shout out to everyone in the comment section. Thank you, Gideon. We hope to catch you later at the Twitter space on Friday, as we discussed. and we hope to also see the project that you're going to be executing in your community. Thank you. Do have a wonderful evening, everyone.
Bye, everyone.